Please welcome to the stage Amos Shacham, co-founder at Boa Ideas, and Rehav, head of global IT at SodaStream International.
Good morning, everybody. I'm very, very excited to be here today. I want to thank Shopify for inviting us to talk. My name is Amos. I am the founder of Boa Ideas, a web development company. We work with service providers and with merchants. For service providers, we help plan and develop their platforms and Shopify apps. And for merchants, we help plan and execute their entire e-commerce operation. One of our flagship projects is SodaStream's global direct-to-consumer project, which started 5 years ago. And we are here today to share with you some of the lessons we learned along the way.
Thank you, Amos. Good morning. I'm Neil. I'm the head of global IT in SodaStream. Happy to be here. I hope you know us. Who knows SodaStream here? All right. So SodaStream was established before 120 years, right here in London. Today we're Israelis. SodaStream is a manufacturer of home combination machines, allow transform tap water into soda at home. We're also a manufacturer of bottles and tasty flavors. SodaStream distributes its products in more than 50 markets around the world. Traditionally, we work with large retailers, allow us to distribute products in more than 90,000 different doors. SodaStream, for years, was based mainly on B2B. But we are here to tell you another story, the story of consumer centricity. SodaStream wanted to gain more knowledge about our customers and turn this knowledge into revenue. We wanted to work closely to our customers and leverage this for our business. We have defined 3 main pillars to achieve that. In SodaStream, our IT roadmap is based on SaaS only, like most of us today here. And Shopify was a natural choice for us. Back then, it was something new. Not many merchants like us, with the size of us, chose Shopify. The second level is the organization. How to build a functioning organization that can support the growth. We've targeted for more than 14 markets, and we knew that we need to build something totally different. We looked for the right partner, a partner that will allow us to inject knowledge into the organization. We didn't know anything about Shopify, and this is why we chose Boa Ideas. The third level is the data platform. Again, we are a SaaS-based only company today, and we wanted also to see how to find the right solutions for that. And we chose Snowflake and Click for that. With the data platform, we wanted to transform all the data into knowledge and create insights to our markets, products, and also create revenue based on that. Amos will explain more details how we took this vision into execution.
Thank you, Nir. So at this point, SodaStream contacted us and asked us if they could leverage Shopify as their e-commerce platform and if we could do this for them. We were a small company at the time, and we didn't have experience with such large-scale projects, but we had a lot of experience and knowledge about the Shopify platform, and we've established a set of core principles that gave us the confidence to take on the SodaStream opportunity. 5 years and hundreds of thousands of lines of code later, we realized that these principles are even more important in large-scale projects, so let's talk about them for a little bit. The first one is not even technical. We know that the success of the project is a mutual interest of both parties, and so we see ourselves as partners of the merchant and not just the vendor. Now, I know this sounds like a cliche, so I want to emphasize what is the actual meaning of it. We gained a lot of experience with e-commerce, and we became very opinionated about it. So in product discussions with the merchant, we become very involved, and not just in the technical aspects, but in all of them. And sometimes we find ourselves trying to convince the merchant not to do developments that we think are not cost-effective for them, even though development is our job and this is what we're being paid for. We insist on convincing them not to do those developments that we think will hurt them in the long run, because we see the success of the project as the highest priority. In addition, we are very honest and transparent about our agency's limits and limitations. And in those areas, we brainstorm together to find better solutions. It's not easy for us to do, obviously, but it builds trust and helps achieve mutual success and a long-term relationship. The second principle is to aggressively leverage Shopify's platform. This may sound obvious in a conference like today, but we really take it to the extreme. Not only do we know that letting Shopify's infrastructure handle the job is technically the ideal thing to do, but we also believe that Shopify, leveraging the knowledge they gain from the millions of stores on the platform to release functionalities to merchants that are the most profitable and valuable. And so when merchants ask us to develop something that works differently than how Shopify suggests in the core platform, we first of all ask ourselves, why is this functionality not already on Shopify? What's the catch? Sometimes there are developments that are more suitable to specific merchants, but even then, we weigh in the pros and cons of developing and maintaining custom solutions when there is already an official solution in the platform. Now, of course, eventually, merchants still need some developments, otherwise none of us would be here today. And in fact, in the SodaStream's project alone, we developed more than 30 custom applications and counting. And this brings me to the third principle. Develop isolated and separated solution for each business requirement that works with Shopify and with each other. Now, this principle actually we thought would not be feasible in a large-scale project like SodaStream with so many different business requirements. But in fact, it turned out to be even more true. This architecture allowed us to have flexibility in making changes, but most importantly, to have quicker and easier code maintenance. Now, this comes also with costs, for example, complex infrastructure and DevOps management, but the advantages just outweigh the downsides. Okay, so after talking about our core principles, I want us to dive into some examples of challenges that we solved, and you'll be able to see how those principles guided us into these solutions. So let's take a look at a few examples of requirements that are typical to an enterprise-level project like the SodaStream project. Let's start with the theme, which is obviously a central element of this entire project. We knew about the global expansion plan of the project right from the get-go. So one of the most important decisions we made together with SodaStream at the planning stage was that we will work and maintain only one single code base for the theme that will be deployed across all the different markets, which are separate individual Shopify instances. Now, we explained to SodaStream that using such approach has a limitation also about having a unified look and feel of all the markets, and they agreed with us. But obviously, we all knew that there will be no way to avoid having differences between markets due to local regulations and operation differences and marketing that we would have to maintain in one single code base. One very obvious but striking example of that is how we manage with one code base 14 different languages and even right-to-left orientation. What you see is the Israeli side, which is right to left, compared to the others, which are left to right, and it's all in one single code base. Now, we're going to talk in a minute about how we allowed these customizations, but I want to mention another limitations that we had to overcome when using one code base, and that's the need to make sure that every change and every design and functionality to the theme is globally proofed. Even when we were live, in the beginning of the journey with just one or two web markets, whenever they asked us for a change, we had to make sure that it works in all of the markets that we plan to go live in. And one example of that is how we developed an upgrade to the mobile-first approach, and we call it the German-first approach. And that's because, if you know, in German language, sometimes words and sentences can be as triple in length as in other languages. So everything is tested in the German side first. Now, having one single code base was very valuable to us, but we still had a complex deployment process that involved manually merging our new version with the live version that included all the merchant customizations. And during this manual process, all the operation teams around the world had to freeze their work so that we don't step on each other's toes. That's very complex, but thankfully, over the years, in parallel to the global expansion of the project, Shopify released new development tools like Slate and ThemeKit and GitHub integration that helped us in this process, and we adopted them right away when they came out, even when it meant that we have to refactor our entire code base just for that, which is something we did already 3 times during the last 5 years. In addition, we developed our own deployment tools that work on top of Shopify's. And today, our deployment architecture is very rich. We have a GitHub repository with 3 branches per store, one for development, one for release source, and one which is live and synced to the live store. And we developed our own CLI tools and GitHub Actions that works automatically so that when we want to release a new version, it's simply as little as one click of a button. One exciting example of that happened just yesterday when we were here in London, when SodaStream revealed its new identity, which obviously meant changing almost every element of the website. All of our team in our company worked on this rebranding projects for the last few weeks.
Amos, I think we pay for months, no?
We'll work around the clock.
We'll work around it later on.
And just yesterday, me and Nir here in London looked at the group chat and saw the release per market. And every 2 minutes, a new website was live. And as we all know, the success of such a big project is when the phone is quiet and nobody calls you. And that's what it was. We could listen to the talks here. So if you go now to one of the SodaStream website, it will look totally different.
Welcome you to check it right now, actually. Or right after the
Go ahead, maybe buy some.
Talk.
Yeah, there you
Great
go.
work, by the way.
OK. One more element I want to talk about. First of all, I will say that the work on that is not complete yet. We are still looking for ways to make the deployment more smooth and less sensitive. We have a few tools that we're working on already, and hopefully next Unite we can share with you as well. But we're also constantly waiting and eager to get, and we learned about it yesterday, releases from Shopify that makes the process more smooth, and we adopt them right away. Another element I want to mention regarding the theme development is the thin border between letting headquarters manage operations in all of the markets versus giving control and freedom to each market to do the changes themselves. This is very sensitive area, and it's because even a small mistake in the settings can really break the front end. And it's more challenging because of the constant change in the personnel in the web management teams around the world that makes this dynamic border changing over time and per market. So the way we tackled that was using several methods. First of all, we made sure to have our theme customization approach unified. So that makes it easy for us to onboard new team members and teach them how to make changes, and also to give them more control or less control over time. Of course, we had to make those customization options very super-friendly and intuitive. Otherwise, they will for sure make mistakes. The third thing is that also here, we adopt Shopify's innovation as soon as it comes out in that area. And the most notable example, of course, is Storefront 2.0, which we were eagerly waiting for it to be released. And once it was released, after 3 weeks, we implemented all of this technology into our live theme. Last year, we started maintaining a manual of how to do changes in the SodaStream theme This is a group effort that all of our team members are doing because whenever there's a change, whenever there's a new functionality, we update the manual. And lastly, we have a constant series of tutoring sessions that our staff is doing with SodaStream's teams all over the world. Let's move on to a new challenge, to another challenge, and this is the customer support area. Again, I think this is something that everybody that works with an enterprise like SodaStream will have to tackle. SodaStream customer support needed a way to allow agents to view information about Shopify orders and customers and to make actions in a controlled way that was based on SodaStream's policies and processes, internal policies and processes. They also wanted the agents that were using SodaStream's chosen customer support system, Zendesk, to do everything from one system and not to jump between two systems, Zendesk and Shopify. In addition, they wanted to manage their agents' control permissions only in one place, in Zendesk, and not to have to do it also in Shopify, which basically means not to give agents any access to Shopify at all, while still letting them see information and make actions. And lastly, they wanted a multi-language interface for the agents from all over the world. And all of these requirements simply meant that using the back office admin area of Shopify by the customer support agents was just not suitable for SodaStream. Our solution was to develop a custom Zendesk application which is based on the Zendesk customer support functionality and integrated with Shopify, with the different markets. This allows the agents to see information and make actions inside this application in a controlled way that was determined by SodaStream Global Customer Support Team. And this approach turned out to be very successful, so SodaStream asked us to expand the tool's abilities over the years. Now, one big milestone in that process for us was when SodaStream asked us to allow agents to create sales through Zendesk while they are in communication with the customer. Think about when a customer have a problem, and while the customer support agent solves the problem, they offer them to buy something. So what we did is actually developing a headless interface to the store, to 14 stores, and implemented inside Zendesk so that even the sale process itself is based on the customer support sale process by SodaStream. It's not your classical Shopify customer experience. Another typical challenge that we always facing when we are working with global enterprises is the need to integrate to many different systems in many different countries. Think about CRMs, ERPs, WMS, shipping companies, and so on. And in every country, they have different systems. If we didn't find a sensible way to handle this, we would have to deal with this all day long, and it will take all of the resources from our team. So what we did, we planned main connectors for each integration, for each type of integration, and worked with the different vendors around the world to connect to it in a unified way. Now, I'm sure most of you also know that sometimes vendors are not keen or capable to modify their systems. So in those situations, what we did is developed another standalone connector between their systems and our connector, so that we don't have to change our connector just for them. This approach allowed us to have much lower maintenance on one hand, and much quicker release of new functionality and features in our main connectors that instantly got deployed to all the countries and all the different systems.
Thank you, Amos. Knowing you, you can continue here for more than an hour.
Okay.
I'm here to save the audience. And no, but he's a good guy. 5 years later, right now in 2022, we see sparkling results. SodaStream managed more than 14 different Shopify websites in 12 markets. We've gained 1,000% of revenue growth in D2C, and we sell more than $100 million per year on our e-commerce platforms. That's amazing. More than expected, by the way. And the third level, we manage 8.6 million direct customers on our data platform, allow us to transform data into knowledge and insights into revenue and innovation. So thank you. It was our pleasure. We'll be happy to answer questions.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, there.
Okay.
Hello, great talk, very educational. Basically, I have one question. You talked about 14 localized websites, and we saw in one of the slides that it's not only about translating text copies, and we saw a hero slider with completely different images for each store. So are you guys using a separate third-party CMS outside Shopify for this kind of content management? Because we know that a typical theme in Shopify is very challenging to maintain this level of customization. Is it a headless theme that you are using an additional CMS only for the content?
I'll tell you. First of all, we, for many years, tried to avoid using an external content platform because we felt that for operations, especially around the world, it's going to be difficult to know where to manage the content. So we managed to do everything on Shopify, using, I guess, creative ways with the theme customization options. I'm talking pre-2.0. And some more, I would call it maybe hacks. For example, in the product page, we would have some certain symbols that we, in the code, knew that need to go in different places. But we did reach a point at some stage that we were forced to use an external content platform. We used Contentful, and we kept it to a minimum. And then Storefront 2.0 came out, and together with the Metafield updates, which really solved that problem. So now we're in the process of migrating back. And just yesterday, we heard about Shopify's content platform, so we're really, really excited to wait for that. So hopefully, we can do everything within Shopify.
Okay, I think that one of the challenges is not just the technical part, but also the organization, because you don't want, especially when you work worldwide, you don't want to give permissions to everyone, and that's definitely a challenge that we need to confront.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing the insights. Question for Nir.
Yeah.
Did you meet any reaction or comments from the retailers when you started working on the D2C?
Wow, that's a tricky question. Because when you are online, you're open to everything. And I cannot give too many details about that, but I can say that we invest a lot of time building the right offer to the customer that will not be a competition to our retailers, because definitely it's a big issue, definitely for a company like us that is based, our main customer base is retailers, and they don't like it now.
I can add to that from my experience, I was very surprised when SodaStream found a solution for that, because many times when we try to pitch Shopify and e-commerce to merchants, the problems they have are not technical at all, and it's what you're asking. So I'm very proud of SodaStream that did it, and since SodaStream done it, a lot of other brands in Israel did it as well.
First of all, thank you. Very good presentation. It was very interesting to see that you had this data platform also in the picture. Could you open up a little bit what kind of data sources you have connected, and how data-driven is your day-to-day operations today?
So we are in a Shopify conference, but I would just I have only good words about Snowflake, which works very well with with a new e-commerce platform. We manage our data sources, of course, from Shopify, Zendesk, which is our customer support platform. We also generate data from external resources like Google and other, even e-vendors, e-retailers that we work with. I think that this is definitely a challenge because we want not just get the data, but also export the data and use it for email marketing. I think that we have we built a very significant operation for that that works for us. Hope this helps.
You talked about isolated components. Can you give some examples of those components and how you isolate them?
Which components?
The isolated components?
Yeah, of course. There was a whole slide that we removed due to time about very unique commercial offerings of SodaStream. And I can give you just one small example. The machine works with gas cylinders that you put in and you press, and that's how you get your bubbles. And when it's over, you want a new one. So in B2B, in offline, consumers go to Walmart and exchange the cylinders, and SodaStream also wanted this kind of experience and commercial offering online, exchange. And they have different ways to do it in different countries. So in one country, you buy an exchange, which means you pay less, you only pay for the gas, and you have to return the empty one. If you don't return it after 30 days, we will charge you for the missing cylinder. In other markets, it works in a different way where you pay for a deposit, and if you don't return it, if you do return it, we bring you back the deposit. And these kind of commercial offerings were not supported by Shopify, obviously. It's not classical or trivial. So we built different private applications for each one of those models that can be connected to several stores, whichever store works with whichever model, and we maintain them separately. And this is just one example, because we have, for example, machine registration. So people can say where they bought the machine and put the serial number, and this way they get extended warranty. And that's another private application. So all in all, like I said, we have more than 30 private applications built just for SodaStream. Instead, one big application that does everything, which was how we started. This is how we started, but very quickly, those business requirements got very messed up, and maintaining this one big application was very, very difficult. So we switched to these separated models. If you look in our GitHub repository, you'll see it's crazy. Yeah, one more question? Yeah.
Are the 14 stores 14 separate instances of Shopify, or are you using Plus and its multiple store feature in certain regions?
Yeah, so each store is a separate store. Like I said, it's connected to different systems, different inventory, things like that.
Different payment gateways.
Sorry?
Payment gateways.
Yeah.
Which are different.
It has the same theme, one theme for everyone, but different stores. We are using the Plus expansion stores, like you said. We did try several times to see if we can maybe change, with the release of markets and other releases before that, if we can change this system, but it's really working the best for everybody. So that's how we do it. We actually even have some other stores that are like B2B stores. They're also separate. Even employee stores, they're also separate. Yeah.
Okay.
If you have more questions, you can catch us in the hall.
Yes, we'll be happy to answer.
So thank you very much. Thank you.